My fiancé sent a text that shattered my world. I'm leaving you, for your best friend's dad. My immediate response was a stunned, wow. I then showed the message to my best friend Noah, and together we decided to use our honeymoon fund to escape. They were left in a frenzy, desperately attempting to reach us, only to realize they had both been abandoned. I'm a 28-year-old man, currently seated in the passenger side of my own car, rather sensible sedan I had purchased with fuel efficiency in mind, a nod to a future that now feels entirely fictitious. Noah, at 27, is behind the wheel, his grip on the steering wheel tight, knuckles pale from tension. 6 hours ago, my phone buzzed with a message that detonated my life. Now, our phones are lighting up in the console, filled with frantic notifications of missed calls and texts. Strangely enough, amidst the chaos, I feel an unsettling sense of calm, deep, cold tranquility. It was a Tuesday. I was in the midst of finalizing payment details with our wedding caterer while Ava, 26, my fiancée of 2 years, was supposed to be attending a yoga class, when my phone illuminated with her name. I was unprepared for the message that followed. I'm so sorry to do this now, Leo, but I can't live a lie. I'm in love with someone else. I'm leaving you for Marcus. We're together now. Marcus, a name that didn't require any contemplation, was Noah's father, a 55-year-old man who was meant to deliver a toast at our wedding in 3 weeks. The very person who had clapped me on the back at our engagement party, approving my choice of Ava as if I were selecting a fine scotch. My fingers reacted before my mind could catch up, and I responded with a single word: wow. I silenced my phone, left my office, and informed my manager of an unexpected migraine before heading straight to Noah's apartment. When I arrived, I found him hunched over his laptop, working on a logo for a freelance client. His face lit up upon seeing me. "Hey man, come to drag me away from my responsibilities." Words eluded me as I simply extended my phone for him to see. I observed the transformation of his expression. Casual curiosity shifted to confusion as he processed the text, then slowly morphed into horror, and finally, a quiet yet terrifying fury settled in his eyes. His gaze darted to his phone, which buzzed on the table with the caller ID reading, "Dad, my dad," he whispered. "With Ava," I nodded in response. The silence enveloping us was palpable. We weren't the type to react with anger or violence. We were strategists and thinkers. In that moment, our shared reality was obliterated by two individuals who had clearly not considered the consequences of their actions. "What are you going to do?" Noah inquired, his eyes distant. An image flashed in my mind, a PDF itinerary saved on my desktop. Flights to the Maldives, a bungalow perched over turquoise waters, our honeymoon that had been fully funded. The account held $32,000, a blend of our savings and generous contributions from family. We had kept it in my personal high-yield savings account because the interest rate surpassed that of any joint account. Our plan was to transfer the funds to the resort next week, a small practical decision that now felt like a lifeline. "Ava, and I had a honeymoon fund," I stated, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. "It's for a trip." Noah's expression shifted as the fire in his eyes dimmed, replaced by a spark of wild determination. "Yeah," he replied. "So let's take a trip." It was the most outrageous yet logical suggestion I had ever heard. An hour later, we found ourselves in my apartment, the one I shared with Ava. Her yoga mat still lay rolled up by the door as I packed a duffel bag with essentials: jeans, hoodies, my passport. Noah mirrored my actions. I stepped into our bedroom, where the ring box sat on my nightstand, containing a stunning custom-designed cushion-cut diamond I had spent months saving for. I opened the ring box, extracted the ring, and placed it delicately in the center of her pillow, atop the pristine white duvet cover, silent, glittering farewell. As we made our exit, I paused to transfer the entire $32,000 from my savings account into my checking account. Then, I logged into my banking app to deactivate my debit card for ATM withdrawals. It was a small act of paranoia, but my mind was operating on a heightened level. The first call from Ava came just as we merged onto the highway, which I ignored. Moments later, a text arrived. "Leo, where are you? We need to talk." Then Noah's phone buzzed with a call from Marcus. He chose to ignore it as well. Ava texted again. "This isn't funny, call me." Soon after, Noah received a message from Marcus. "Son, call me. Your mother is worried." They were coordinating their responses, slowly realizing we had both vanished. As we drove westward, we were fueled by a full tank of gas and the remnants of what was supposed to be my future. I didn't grasp the concepts of justice or revenge. But this felt like a form of it, the tranquility of the open road, the shared understanding with the only person who truly comprehended my situation, and the blissful silence of our powered-off phones. We had no clear destination, but for the first time in hours, it felt as if we were moving forward. Update: it's been 8 days. The world didn't come to an end, it merely tilted. Noah and I are holed up in a modest cabin a few states away, nestled in wood-paneled walls that carry a faint scent of pine cleaner. We discovered it online and paid for a month in cash. Over the course of 2 days, we withdrew money from various ATMs. The initial days were a blur of driving and adrenaline. We knew we couldn't remain completely disconnected forever. We needed to assess the aftermath. So, without turning on our phones, we found a public library in a small town, where we accessed a dusty computer terminal to check my email and social media. The digital fallout was worse than I had anticipated. Ava's and Marcus's messages were a masterclass in narcissistic manipulation, oscillating between feigned concern and entitled anger. Ava was already demanding her half of the honeymoon fund. Meanwhile, Marcus was berating Noah, calling him an embarrassment. The sheer audacity was staggering, but we faced larger issues. Ava's parents had begun contacting mine, demanding the $5,000 they had gifted us for the honeymoon back. This led to a tense, distressing call with my mother, who was both scared and confused. I had to guide her through it, instructing her, "Mom, just tell them the gift was for a wedding that their daughter canceled, and that all future communication should go through my lawyer." I didn't have a lawyer yet, but I knew I needed one. This realization sent us spiraling deeper into a rabbit hole. We spent an entire evening in a motel room researching family law attorneys online. The first lawyer we contacted was dismissive, making it sound as if I were the one at fault. The second quoted a retainer fee that would consume a quarter of our fund. Finally, through a friend of a friend from college, we received a referral to a sharp, no-nonsense lawyer, located in a different city, who agreed to an online consultation. It's scheduled for tomorrow, and the anticipation is creating a knot in my stomach. The most pressing issue remained the apartment. I couldn't return there. I spent an entire day trying to manage the situation remotely. The first 3 moving companies I contacted flatly refused my request when I explained the circumstances. "You want us to enter an apartment with a key. You leave for us and pack only your belongings based on a video call. Our insurance won't cover that." Eventually, I located a high-end concierge moving service that specialized in complicated relocations. They agreed to assist, but at a premium price, and required a notarized letter of authorization, which I scrambled to obtain at a local bank. It was an infuriating and costly endeavor that chipped away at our getaway fund, but the thought of Ava returning to a half-empty apartment made it worth every penny. The movers are scheduled for Friday. Her belongings will be boxed up, and mine will be gone. Last night was especially tough. I was scrolling through my music when I stumbled upon a playlist Ava had curated. The opening chords of one song hit me like a physical blow. I quickly shut it off and stepped out onto the small wooden porch, trying to catch my breath. The screen door creaked open, and Noah appeared, handing me a beer without a word. Standing beside me as we gazed out at the dark trees, he didn't need to speak. We were in this together. The shock was beginning to fade. This wasn't a joyride. It was a slow, complicated, and costly disentangling of a life I had once believed to be solid. Update: today was meant to be my wedding day. Instead, I'm sitting in an anonymous coffee shop, nursing a cup that has long since gone cold. Noah is sketching in a notebook beside me. The past 2 weeks have felt like a full-blown logistical and psychological war, waged through burner phones and encrypted emails. The smear campaign, orchestrated by Ava, unfolded just as I had anticipated. She began posting on Instagram about my supposed mental breakdown, sharing black and white photographs of us that evoked sympathy from our mutual friends and acquaintances. It didn't take long for Marcus to make his calculated move. It was more cunning than I had expected. Instead of a simple phone call, he sent a meticulously crafted email to my vice president, CCing another senior partner at the firm. I learned about it when my VP later forwarded the email to my boss. It was a masterclass in corporate subterfuge, disguised as concern. In his message, he detailed my erratic behavior and unstable state, subtly implying that I might pose a risk to the high-stakes project I was leading. Not once did he mention Ava. He presented himself as an old family friend worried about a young man spiraling out of control. It was a deniable, professional, and utterly toxic maneuver. My boss, Frank, reached out to me with a neutral and procedural tone. "Leo, I've received some concerning correspondence. HR has been informed. We need to schedule a formal call to discuss this. Let's aim for Monday." Those 3 days until our meeting felt interminable, filled with a brutal uncertainty that kept me awake at night. This situation was no longer just about my heart. It threatened my entire professional future. Under the guidance of our new lawyer, Noah and I meticulously crafted my response. We focused on the facts. On Monday morning, I sent an email to Frank and the HR representative, detailing the timeline of events. Attaching a screenshot of Ava's text, and including Marcus's email to the VP, I characterized the situation as a documented case of external interference and character assassination stemming from personal matters. The video call that afternoon was tense. Both Frank and the HR rep appeared stone-faced as I walked them through the timeline. When I finished, the HR representative, a woman I had never met, simply stated, "Thank you, Leo. We will be handling this internally. Your job is not in jeopardy. Take the time you need." Later, Frank called me off the record. He explained that the VP was volcanic in his reaction. He felt manipulated and furious that Marcus had put the firm in such a precarious position. My vindication was on the horizon, but it would come through the slow, grinding gears of corporate bureaucracy. As for the apartment situation, it resolved itself with the chaos I had anticipated. The concierge movers were professional and efficient. However, the day Ava and Marcus showed up was a spectacle. My former neighbor, Carol, texted me in a frenzy, claiming that Ava was accusing the movers of stealing her belongings. The older mover tried to calm her down, but chaos erupted as another neighbor began filming the scene. They managed to retrieve her things, but the image of their picture-perfect new beginning was marred by a very public and messy tantrum in an empty hallway. We remained in the cabin for some time. The honeymoon we had envisioned was instead spent on phone calls with lawyers, my parents, and strategizing our next steps. It was draining, yet there was a grim satisfaction in knowing that every one of their attacks had been met with cold, hard, documented facts. They had wanted a mess. We were giving them consequences. Final update: 6 months have passed. I now sit on the balcony of a new apartment in a new city. There are no shared memories here, only the quiet and irreversible wreckage left behind by two people's choices. Here's the final tally. Ava's social media campaign fizzled out after the apartment incident. Her credibility shot. She attempted a new tactic, a GoFundMe titled "Rebuilding My Life After Betrayal and Theft," which raised a mere $75 from her aunt before a few anonymous accounts. I suspect some of my friends posted links to the building's Facebook group along with the video of her screaming in the hallway, resulting in the page being quietly taken down. Her attempt to sue me was a complete failure. Her lawyer dropped the case after reviewing the evidence provided by mine. The final blow came in the form of a formal cease and desist letter from my lawyer regarding her continued online harassment, which finally silenced her. I heard she's now living with her parents. Marcus's relationship with Ava also imploded under the weight of his demotion and messy divorce. The powerful man she once admired had vanished, replaced by a bitter and financially strained man living in a rented condo. Her dream life never materialized. I received one last rambling email from her, a bizarre mix of blame and nostalgia, which I deleted without responding. Marcus faced his own reckoning. His wife Melinda divorced him, and the final straw wasn't the affair itself, but his complete lack of remorse and his fury directed at Noah for his perceived disloyalty. The divorce was financially devastating for him. Professionally, the fallout from his email was significant. Although the internal review at his company did not lead to his termination, it placed him under scrutiny. They uncovered years of inflated expense reports and policy violations, resulting in his demotion and reassignment to manage a small warehouse in an industrial park, a substantial blow to both his finances and his ego. As for Noah and me, our trip became the reset we both desperately needed. After navigating the initial weeks of legal and logistical battles, we used the remaining funds to simply exist. We hiked through national parks, visited the ocean, and embarked on a quiet, healing journey. I never returned to my old life. My company was incredibly supportive and offered me a transfer, which I seized as an opportunity for a fresh start. I sold my car, purchased a truck, and relocated to a city where I knew no one. It turned out to be the best decision I ever made. Currently, I have about $7,000 from the fund left in an account labeled Next Chapter. I'm also in therapy, which has proven to be beneficial. Noah has become the hero of this narrative, choosing his friend over his father. His relationship with his mother is gradually mending, and he has severed all contact with Marcus. He ended up staying in a small mountain town we had visited, taking a graphic design job and thriving in the slower pace of life. Our friendship has evolved. It was forged in fire and is now quieter and stronger. We video call a few times each week. Just last night, he raised a beer to his camera and said, "To surviving the absolute worst," with a small smile. I lifted my coffee cup in response, toasting to building something better from the rubble. Thank you for listening, Reddit. It's over, and I'm okay.